Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive, joining you live from apocalyptic Southern California, where the sky is a very ominous soot color. Thoughts to anyone affected by the fires: they are as horrific as they look on TV, maybe worse than we know yet. I don't think there was a lot of loss of life, but thousands of structures and some of the nicest real estate on Earth wiped off by this fire in a matter of hours. And it's
crazy. The wind, the wind being as heavy as it is, it was jumping highways, that sort of stuff. And it's nice to see good people out there too. I've seen some tweets come across, that's not relevant to me, but people are retweeting like, hey, we have a big parking lot. It's like, come here and hang out if you're trying to escape, and we have food. Like, come hang out here in more central or southern LA. So hopefully anyone out there listening who's in those areas is safe. You can always build a new house.
It's a pretty broad and comforting community, and I think pretty much everyone affected has somewhere safe to go. But the rebuild is going to be just like giant neighborhoods, like the Palisades Village, like grocery stores and hundreds of homes, just all. And we know a bunch of people that have evacuated and lost houses, and I have no idea how you rebuild. I really don't.
We might be moving a golf tournament. I mean, Riviera is right there, and that's in a few weeks.
I haven't seen.
I don't know that the course was affected, but
I don't know if the course was affected, but literally, like, everything around it is burned.
Right next to Riviera. So
it's wild.
And there's a game in LA, not for a few days though.
And I mean, not that it's especially meaningful or relevant, but all the Rams pretty much live in Woodland Hills, which was unaffected.
I was gonna say it's a nice area. But
it's on the other side of the mountains there.
Gotcha.
The Santa Ana's whip offshore, right? And so it tends to affect the coastal communities more. So if you lived on the ocean side of the mountains there, you're primarily affected. If you live on the inland side, which is Woodland Hills, which is most of the Rams, that's where they're sending all of the folks who are evacuating.
Again, hopefully that turns out
they moved
better than it looks right now. And there's some football game. Is there a bowl game, or is that what we're thinking? What's the
No.
Well, where are the last playoff games? I don't even pay. Somebody asked about that on Twitter. Like, hey, can you guys touch on the college games? I'm like, I'd have to sit and think hard about who's playing who.
They're in Dallas.
Cotton Bowl.
Miami, and then the national title game is in Atlanta.
That sounds right. I don't think SoFi was affected. So.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Let's talk
football, man. Drew, did you watch golf last night?
Golf?
The TGL.
TGL. What is the TGL?
The indoor golf.
I didn't.
Oh my God! It was kind of fire because they put him on a 40-second shot clock.
Whoa!
It's team golf. Like, one goes and the other goes and the third guy goes. You take your turns into a simulator.
Sure.
But you're on a 40-second shot clock. Guys going up there without practice swings, just going up there and ripping shots and stuff. It was more entertaining than I thought watching.
It was more entertaining than watching my basketball bets. I'll tell you that much. They were all terrible. I don't know, man. I'm ready to talk some football.
I'm a TGL guy now on Tuesdays. So.
Nice. Okay. I didn't know that was.
Well, we don't have Monday Night Football anymore. We have one more Monday night game. We do have the wild card.
TNG.
No. TGL.
TGL. TNF. Okay. TNG.
TGIF.
Tuesday Night Golf. All right. Let's talk some wild card weekend. Super. Excuse me.
No. They dropped it.
What?
All of the official stuff that's coming out from the NFL does not say super wild card weekend. They didn't say we're dropping it. They just did it quietly. Quiet quit the super. I don't know if they thought it was, people are like, what would convince you to do that? I guess there can't have been like blowback, like, oh, I'm not watching this if they're gonna call it that. That's terrible. And just be like, someone's like, fuck it, this is dumb.
I think maybe it was always intended to be a temporary moniker, just to make sure people were aware that there was 6 games and not 4.
Maybe that's the only thing that checks out, because otherwise it was dumb. But we will get into regular 6-game wildcard weekend starting. You know what the difference is between old wildcard weekend, new wildcard weekend, and super wildcard weekend? There's no difference. They're always going to play the Houston game here.
Nick's right. They're getting ahead of themselves for when 16 teams get in and 8 teams get a bye. That'll be super wildcard weekend. And there's
it's going to turn into the NBA playoffs, taking 6 months. So, all right, anyway. LAC, the Chargers will head to HOU Houston, who kind of sort of backed into the playoffs. I mean, they didn't play their starters fully in week 18, but man, it was kind of a rough downhill part of the year, especially when I guess I felt we were always going to see a strong ending to the year because of the middle of that Bills game when Collins was injured and the offense just petered out completely. And then it's like, all right, we get Nico Collins back. This team is going to be dangerous heading into the playoffs, because I love the defense. I love Stingley. I love the coverage. I love the pass rush. And the offense is just kind of never got the mojo back at this point. And now they have another injury to a wide receiver. They're a little thin there. The running game is held up on, I don't know if Joe Mixon's a house of cards, but I never felt like Joe Mixon was going to be sustainable. It was much more sustainable than I ever thought. But I don't know, where are you at with Houston right now heading into this game? It's close.
You can qualify Houston's Wayne however you like. You can't quantify it to the tune of being 3-point home dogs. No fucking way. How in the world does this line make sense? What the fuck? 3? No way. This is an absolute ridiculous line. And I get it that they came out against elite competition and people were watching very carefully, particularly the game against the Ravens, and they got their skulls crushed. This Chargers team has done nothing to tell you that they're better than just beating up on the little sisters of the poor. This is this particular. What's that?
It's an old reference. I feel like old people would say that. Like we've been saying that for 100 years.
I'm an old person, so this checks out.
Old, yeah.
But yeah, like it's just, I don't in any way understand why the Chargers are this world-beating super team that deserves to be field goal road chalk against a Houston team that like is pretty healthy right now. Like, here are the negatives that I see for Houston. CJ Stroud's quality of play has been poor this year relative to expectations, certainly relative to what we saw at the end of last year. I think you can tie a lot of that around the neck of Bobby Slowick and throw him into the Gulf of Mexico. I think you can tie a lot of that around the neck of he hasn't had a healthy, effective Nico Collins for a lot of this year. But I generally would kind of come away from that one drive he had against the Titans as like, he's at least healthy. Like there's not like a real serious injury concern for me with CJ, and he has played his best football when the stakes have been the highest. Like he was amazing last year against Cleveland. He was fine against Baltimore, ultimately bad in the second half, but that was a tough spot for a young QB, and he was incredible. Gulf of America.
We're getting corrections on the Gulf of Mexico. Trump came out and said he wants to rename it the Gulf of America.
Are you kidding me? This is a joke.
That's no, it's 100% real. You can't make stuff up like that. No, it's not a joke. That is a real headline. And it led to a strange conversation. I was having it with Kelly, if anybody's, Big Ten Watto on Twitter. Who names international bodies of water? Like, we all just call it the Pacific Ocean because it'd be weird if we didn't, but like who's actually in charge of that? Is that just, well, it's what we call it. Like that, it's like, well, a mountain's a mountain. We gotta call it a mountain. I don't know. Like, can you just change the name? I think, let's say we call Germany in Spain. It's Alemania. I guess we can call whatever we want.
See, this is the thing. I've never been happier not to know these things are going on. I've never been happier. I don't give a fuck about this. This has no material consequence on my life. It's just noise. It's just a distraction. Not that I'm getting a lot of work done these days, but that's fine. That's a different conversation.
America Vespucci would have named the Gulf of America. Anyway, we're back into this matchup. And
honestly, when they named the Gulf of Mexico, Texas was fucking Mexico, you idiots. Anyway, all right. The general vibe about the Texans is this is a defense that is prone to giving up the big play, particularly when they're up against good wide receiving. This is a defense that is prone to, just in general being exploited through the air with some explosive plays. I don't see any of that with the Chargers. This is a defense that can rush the passer with extreme prejudice. And this is a defense that can employ Derek Stingley to wipe whoever you want off the face of the map of this pathetic wide receiving core for the Chargers. The Chargers are one-dimensional right now without any semblance of a run game. Their offensive line is wildly overrated and not healthy. And the Chargers are on their third week in a row on the road. This is a terrible spot for the Chargers. This is a perfectly good spot for the Texans. And I mean, the Texans can win this with their defense if they feel like it. And if their offense shows even anywhere close to the pulse we saw against the Titans, then this is going to be a win by margin. I'm really not afraid taking the money line here as opposed to taking the +3. Although the fact that you're getting a cheap 3 to me feels like this is going to be one of the bets of the playoffs. So I got no other thoughts.
Yeah, and it does feel pretty correlated if you have a place that'll let you parlay that, like +3 in the under. It doesn't seem like a spot where if Houston were to win this or keep it close and cover that number, not win, it's a high-scoring game. It feels like that's predicated on their defense. And it is Stingley taking away Ladd McConkey, and then at that point, it's if we're able to lock down Ladd McConkey, who's been great. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, he's a top 20 receiver already. He's very good. Just kind of lost in the shuffle because there's some other good rookies. Like you said, it becomes one-dimensional where, you going to run the ball? You can try. I guess you can try. Or is it going to be Quentin Johnston, who is...
Did you see they signed Zeke Elliott?
So Quentin Johnston... Yeah, Quentin Johnston's been better. Quentin Johnston's been a lot better lately, but he's still Quentin Johnston. It's not great, and it doesn't seem sustainable. This is not just Stingley. This has been a good coverage unit as a whole. They have good safeties. They have a good pass rush. And as Sam's pointing out, this is kind of why I love the under. I'm in full agreement. If I had to bet a side, it would be +3 here. There's no doubt about it. Just looking at my raw numbers, I can't even. I mean, I have Houston as a favorite almost. I don't quite understand how the market swung this hard. And situation that doesn't even ding. I'm not even dinging the Chargers for travel at this point, but yeah, they went to New England 2 weeks ago. They went to Vegas last week, and now they'll travel to Houston. 3 travel weeks in a row isn't great for a team. Houston doesn't have the best home field advantage, but it's certainly boosted by that number. And then a reason I do love this under is because I still don't like Slowick. I don't like his play calling. I respect some things about the Chargers defense. And yeah, there's going to be, he's pointing out, if you're listening to the podcast, Sam says, a lot of unsuccessful early down runs in this game. It's going to be by both teams.
Yeah, sure. I don't have a ton else to add except to say that, yeah, you said Quentin Johnston's been playing better lately. He came down the stretch hot, Andy. 2 targets, 2 wrecks, 24 yards, 8 targets.
But he caught him.
8 targets, 2 wrecks, 48 yards, 5 targets, 0 for 0.
What was the 8 and 2?
Ravens.
The Ravens game doesn't count.
The Cincinnati Bengals, he was able to haul in 2 of the 8 times he was thrown to for 48 yards. 7 targets for 5 catches and 48 yards. 10 targets against Tampa Bay for 5 catches and 45 yards in a game that the Chargers lost 40-17 in recent memory.
But isn't that the kind of thing you're going to need to do? Because you're not going to get the explosives here. You're going to need the short stuff to tight ends. You're going to need the short stuff to him.
Okay. Well, congratulations to him catching 13 of his 14 targets against the Las Vegas Raiders in Week 18. Good job.
He did it.
He did it. He did it. Problems. Everything's everything. No, but no. The bust tag erased. He's just fine. I don't think he's making an impact in this game. Maybe he is the difference maker. We'll see. But,
I don't think he's the difference maker. That's what I'm saying.
Lad
He has to.
McConkey who
He
you
has
have
to be
care
if they're going to
about.
lock down McConkey.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I guess I can't, like, two things can happen in this game. I can lose my bet. I can look like an idiot. This is the biggest stake I have on the card of any side by margin. The rest of the sides I think are pretty dang tight. This one I think is way the fuck wrong. If I lose, I lose. And you know what we get to do then? We get to lay it with the Chiefs next week, because you know why? That'll be the Chargers' 4th week in a row on the road. And they'll be going back to hostile territory, taking on a rested Chiefs team. And that number is going to be, I mean, if they're rated 3 points better than the, we can do the math real quickly, right? They're 3 points better on the road than the Texans. What were the Texans in Arrowhead on the 21st? Do you remember? Is that 5?
That sounds right.
So we'll get Chargers +2. I'll lay 2 with the Chiefs against the Chargers.
I feel like it'll be 3.5.
You know what? It's probably gonna be a little higher because the bye. Andy Reid's good up the bye. 3. Well, 3. I'll lay 3 with the Chiefs next week.
It's not good. Oh, here we have Murray has it. The look ahead's 5.5.
I know. I'm making the point of just like, this number doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Somebody either knows that this is already happening, or I don't even fucking know.
I don't. It opened here, and it's just been kind of stuck. The total's been bet down a little.
Yeah, there's been enough support for the Chargers that it just hasn't moved. I don't know.
And as far as injuries, there hasn't been a lot. Like Palmer didn't practice for the Chargers, which is, again, if you're taking away McConkey, it has to be Palmer and Quentin Johnston, and like is Will Dissly 100%? You know, so it's, is Phil Dissly even what is his status right now?
I really don't think Stingley will follow Lad. I don't know that his skill set really is best utilized there. So they got to find another way. I think they just got to bracket him. They just just make Herbert think twice about making that his target. So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying with the good safety play they've had there.
Yeah. Well,
like you said, bracket him.
Yeah. I'll say that. Okay. The one kind of other funny wrinkle that I have on this game note-wise is Texans. They're in a little bit of a weird spot. They're hosting the early Saturday wildcard playoff game. Did you know that in 7 playoff games for this franchise, wildcard weekend, all 7 have been the early?
Yeah, because I have Twitter.
Oh.
It has been covered.
I can't
this week.
Friggin' believe that.
It's been covered.
I cannot believe that. Like what the hell?
Because they're always like it's always like a terrible game. They're always like the 4th seed.
This was going to be another one. 40-3 Texans. All right, let's move on.
It's like, oh, you're a 9-8 4th seed.
You know what? Let's make it 35-3 so that the underbackers don't cry. Because I support the under here is fine too. Although it's 42.5. I don't think I would go any lower. Open 44. It's down 42.5. Any injuries to note here that you're concerned about? Do you think that the offensive line for the Chargers is just all systems go and it's just they're getting rest or what?
Yeah, Slater's rest. I mean, Slater's rest. Dobbins and Edwards both have ankle injuries, but they practiced in a limited sense. Denzel Perriman was limited. He has a groin injury. Quentin Johnston actually has a thigh injury. That's probably why he's dropping some of those balls, and you're giving him a hard time about it. That was kind of it. Mechie isn't practicing for the Texans with his shoulder. Shaq Mason wasn't practicing with the knee, obviously. Otherwise, it's pretty clean. Akuda still has a concussion.
Yeah. Well, he's not very good anyway, so that's fine.
No, he is not very good. Will Anderson, he has his hand injury, but he was full participant today. So not a real injury concern game. Yeah, I like Chargers. I like the under. Or excuse me. I like Houston. Houston plus the point.
I'm looking for anyone on earth who likes the Chargers, which is a little scary, but that's okay.
I guess the case for the Chargers is probably better coaching. I don't care what you say about, he was missing these years. Like, he's come in and done a good job with this team. He's done a much better job than Staley did. And I mean, essentially they went into the year without running backs, without, a wide receiver one, without some pieces on defense fully healthy, and they went in and nabbed a playoff spot. Not only that, the best wild card spot. They probably could have won some of these other divisions. Being in the Chiefs division makes it hard. So it'll be, I think it'll be close. That's why I probably am going to take the 3 here.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to the night game, which I guess I don't really get this one either. But not a bet I want to make. Right?
Pussy.
Well, yeah. I don't want to bet. I don't want to back this team. They lost 4 in a row. Andy, haven't you been paying attention? Yeah, they're losers, losing losers who lose. When we were talking on Sunday night, halftime, you asked, has any, what are the records of a team that go into the playoffs on a 4-game losing streak? That's a trick question because it's never happened.
It's never happened. That's what I said. I said nobody has ever lost 5 in a row to end the season.
Yes.
And the 5th one was a playoff game.
Yes. The facts are, on the 21st of December, the Steelers, who we knew to be somewhat fraudulent, opened up as 5-point dogs to the Ravens, who we knew to be coming on strong. That game closed 7. This game opened on the other side of 7, and it's been bet out to 10 at spots. That means that if you want to back the good team, you pay a tax. If you want to take the dog shit team, you get free points. And you have to make that decision. Do you want to take the dog shit team, or do you want to back the good team? And I think that's just the reality of this market sidewise. And I like the Steelers defense matchup a hair. I mean, I guess as much as you can like it for any team in this playoffs, right? Like if this is the lowest output that the Ravens have on their way to a Super Bowl, not going to be surprised. The Steelers know this team well. They play them well, and they are fine in terms of health relative to the way they were last time they played. I think the absence of Zay Flowers matters. I'm assuming he's just out, right?
It's not proclaimed yet, but it's all but
sprained his knee, and the commentary was it's not a season ender, which means it's a week misser, right? So
it's a Saturday game. We're sitting here on Wednesday. He hasn't practiced yet. It doesn't seem terribly likely. Not only that, it's just like you said, the way it looked was, oh no, like this could be it for him. So the fact that, like you said, it's probably good news that it isn't the full season for him at this point. I'm not expecting him to play at this point. This game is pretty clean from an injury standpoint. Other than that,
what's going on with the physical and mental health of George Pickens?
I don't know, man. That was a bad game, right? Like
all time.
Was he just? I was gonna be like, man, he just looks like his hands are cold, but he plays in a cold weather city. Like it's not his first rodeo. He's played games in Baltimore. He's played games in Pittsburgh. He's played games in Cleveland. Like he needs to, go put the hands by the heater and catch these balls.
86. Oh, maybe my database only goes back to 89. So I
think if you're using that one, it only goes to 89.
Yeah, thank you, Joey.
That checks out with the Jets.
The 86 Jets lost 5 and won a wild card game. Okay, so the last team to lose 4 in a row and go to the playoffs, 4 or more, won their
5 in a row.
Yeah,
and then they won a wild card game. That's the real rub. That's kind of wild.
That is kind of wild.
Yeah. I guess the main concern with backing the Steelers, because obviously this number is way too big. It's just raw numbers. It's not even close. Like I'm way off this market. I have backed. I will just right to the cut to the chase. I backed the Ravens first half -6.
Ooh, fun one.
I do think they.
Their first half bets have been pretty solid lately.
Yeah, their first halves have looked good.
Like they won by 11 in the first half against the Browns, and that really probably should have been like 24 or 28.
Yeah,
they had some fourth down fuck ups.
My main reason that I'm probably the main reason I went that way and not just taking the big net of the Steelers.
That is super wild. Yeah. Good.
It's a super wild.
Super wild. Yeah.
Just weeks 12 through 17, weeks 12 through 18, whatever you want to look at. This is the best drop back EPA defense in the league.
Yeah.
Like, hey, where were we 10 weeks ago? This is a pass funnel. Midway through the season, we start moving Hamilton around. We start moving the safeties around. We start getting help to, the corners. We start using our strengths to, belay some of the weaknesses. And suddenly this is a good pass defense. And at the same time, so we've got a pass defense that's very much ascending while we got a Steelers pass offense that is heading way down. They have to get people have joked about this on Twitter, and one guy's not joking, but they probably need to use some Justin Fields in this game if they want to keep it close. Russ is not clicking right now. Yeah. The moon balls aren't there. Pickens looks a little lost, and they'll probably be able to run a little bit because they have effective runners even against this tough defense. But
their run blocking is still okay, but their pass blocking has eroded to the point of like bottom 5. And it's particularly in the middle. Like those guys just aren't doing their jobs anymore. And the interior pressure for Russell Wilson has been the kiss of death. Like he is staring down. Like there is a plausible case for Trey Hendrickson to win Defensive Player of the Year. Andy, I think you said you would have voted for him. But the reason that you would have voted for him was because Russell Wilson walked into 3.5 sacks.
He really did. And yes, I mean, you're right. If you look at just offense from week 13 through 18, your last 5 weeks here, 5 or 6, that's 6, right? 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Last 6 weeks, they're negative EPA on dropbacks. That's 28th in the league. This was a passing offense that looked pretty good during the winning streak when they were leading the division. So it's really fallen off. I don't know. Teams have adjusted to the moon ball. Yeah. Teams have adjusted to some of the Russ stuff. And my God, what a mind numbing. I'm still stuck on that 2-minute drive, the 2-minute drill they tried to Russ. It's just like running, staying in bounds.
They're not playing in this game if they execute that even remotely close to like a normal team. They're in the 5.
It was crazy. They should have been able to get down there and get something.
They'd be the 3-point favorites in Houston, apparently. Or maybe not. Anyway, the other kind of thoughts I had about this one, the rushing success for the Ravens, I don't think is a guarantee. The linebacking core and the interior, run stop for Pittsburgh is very solid. I think but that said, I think there's enough success running the ball that there could be some long methodical drives here, right? Like the Raven, like just pretend for a minute that you're the Ravens and you don't have your wide receiver 1 and you just want to get to Buffalo healthy.
I just want to get to Buffalo.
You just want to get to Buffalo. Like don't do anything stupid here. We don't want to sustain an injury. We're playing a team that hates us, that's physical. They're going to try to hurt us. Let's just get out of here healthy. You run the ball with Henry on first down, you get 4 yards. You run the ball with Henry on second down, you get 4 yards. You scramble it with Lamar on third down, you get 3 yards. Like rinse, repeat. I really don't know that there's any reason to expose your players, expose your plays in a game where you can win ugly and let your defense just shut down a team that is just floundering on offense right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't, like you're saying, I think you're saying the same thing as me. I wouldn't try to push the ball downfield without my guy that helps me push the ball downfield. and Bateman was great. Bateman was great, and they have 2 really good tight ends. But I think it is just ugly runs, ugly successful runs. And you know how that looks in the second half too. That's where I worry that this game is going to look close, and people who have that big Pittsburgh number are going to complain at the end because Derrick Henry in the second half, like it's such a cliche and it's such a shitty sports announcer thing to say, but he does wear on you. You see some of those runs in the second half where guys are sick and fucking tired of tackling him. And suddenly those 3-yard runs are 8 and the 8-yard runs are 24. And he goes into the half with 60 yards and he comes out of the game with 180. Like it is a thing that works. It's always worked for them. And with the tight ends and Bateman, you can still hit a lot of intermediate stuff without having to push the ball down the field. And at the same time, the threat of Lamar running, that's still going to garner a ton of attention, which is going to pull linebackers and safeties off guys. And you're probably going to have a big tight end day too. It's going to be Henry and the tight ends.
You want to know a little bit of a real true contrarian opinion about this game?
Yeah, I do.
Russell Wilson's last good game was against the Ravens. He had a lot.
Or the first half versus the
first half he didn't score any touchdowns against this team. Against the Ravens on the 21st, people, and myself included, their brains were so soaked in alcohol at Christmas parties on the 21st, that Saturday, the 21st of December, that they forget that the Steelers were very, very in that game. Russell Wilson's fumble in the red zone when it was 7-7 would have given them the lead. They then came back to tie it 17-17 with a super efficient drive led by Russ. And then ultimately the deep or the 4th and 6 incompletion, which was brilliantly defended by Kyle Hamilton, gave the ball back to the Ravens. Lamar threw a pick to Minkah Fitzpatrick. Russell Wilson then got pick sixed, and the game was over effectively. 30-17. You're not beating the Ravens. Sorry. They ultimately got a bonus field goal, but the fourth quarter of this game, I had Ravens in that game. In the fourth quarter, under a touchdown, I was a little like, there's a way this loses, and I'm not going to feel great. I had a lot of Ravens AFC North, and I was there was consternation on my face.
Yeah, it was a high leverage game for that.
Yeah, and it was ultimately. It mattered. Did it matter? No, I don't remember. It didn't matter in the end, but it probably would have mattered anyway. Who cares? The margin was not what the box score looks like for that game, and yet here we are betting this out to 10. So I don't know, man. If I was in a picks contest, I guess I would just hold my nose and take the Steelers and then hope that the Steelers defense keeps the Ravens to 17 points, and then they cover in a 17-10 loss.
17-9, yeah.
That would be great.
I need him in the first half. I do believe they will be outfoxed with the offensive game plan. I believe in Monken a little more. I believe in
a 2-touchdown lead is. Yeah, I'm going to bring this up for the Bills game, but I agree with Beat Gamer. A 2-touchdown lead by the Ravens is insurmountable. Like, that's game over. That's why the Steelers defense has to play their best game of the season.
That's why I think they know that. Like, we have the offense and we have the defense where if this is a 14-point lead at halftime, we don't have to make adjustments. We have them written down already. Like, oh, here's the second half game plan, guys. Let's go go through the motions for 30 minutes and head to Buffalo.
2 final thoughts from you on this one. The under is my biggest side or total bet of the week here. It's moved to 43.5.
Yeah.
Is that now we're now correct or what? This is correct, or there's still room?
I mean, just the raw matchup stuff, I'd make it like a 44, 43, but considering how the game state is most likely to go, you could have a 7-point second half. Like it does feel like there's a very long ramp to this being a gross second half where, let's say there's 27 points in the first half. I still think you're feeling pretty all right anyway, as long as it's, 24 to 3 or something, 20-7.
Murray brings up, nobody mentioned playoff Lamar. I'm going to be doing plenty of mentioning playoff Lamar because I think this is going to be an ugly Ravens win. And I think the Bills they're going to look like the best team in football. And I think that's going to set up an advantageous Ravens bet next week. So I will be reminding everyone about playoff Lamar.
Like, oh man, yeah, that was a Derrick Henry game.
Does Lamar? Does he still have the yips? Does he have the playoff yips still? I mean, Josh Allen, 6 drives, 6 touchdowns against the mighty Broncos defense. The defense player of the year, Patrick Surtain. Yikes. No, I'm living in my own head right now where I want this to be a close win for the Ravens, and I want the Bills to just literally, just moonwalk into the divisional round. Okay. Final question for you, I guess. One more. You as someone who is plugged into the Twitter sphere and is engaged in the coaching carousel. Is Tomlin the Steelers coach for 2025?
I think so.
Independent of this result.
Yes. There's
34-3.
I think still. 64-0. I think he's still the coach.
No one like no stupid owner is like, fuck it. We need to trade for Tomlin. He needs out of Pittsburgh. We need a coach that'll give us stability.
Well, like,
We'll
trade for Tomlin.
We'll give a second. We'll give up a second.
I didn't think that's where you were headed with that. I thought you mean
there's a whiff of divorce needs to just happen.
It does, but I think it needs to be like Tomlin has to quit. I think we're at that point where he needs to have like a couple of bad years in a row for them to fire him, and they just refuse to do it. It would be awkward if a fired guy wins Coach of the Year. I don't know that he wants to retire. He's not that old.
I mean, like, don't the Steelers kind of need to act fast if they're going to interview Mike Vrabel? Like, you got to get, like, Mike Vrabel is the hottest commodity on earth, apparently. You got to get him in for an interview if
they're
you want him.
putting his name on the door in New England. I mean, they got the guy painting the door like in the 50s.
There's more to work with. There's more of the culture fit is good. No, I'm joking. But it does absolutely crack me up that Mike Vrabel, the last two franchises where he had influence, they're picking first and third in the draft.
Mike Vrabel had that one moment where he was really smart about that 12 men on the field thing, though.
Oh, that's a great point.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Like that's a good point for him. I know.
He also coached them out of a home playoff game against these Ravens who were playing poorly that day.
I don't love hiring Vrabel. I don't think you can fire Tomlin. It's a weird, stupid position to be in because you should start fresh, like a fresh voice.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever going to take you to the heights that you had when you had Roethlisberger and this team was winning Super Bowls. But yeah, it's Pete. Speaking, I almost brought up Pete Carroll because it feels like the Pete Carroll situation where ownership has to.
Divorce just has to happen. Yeah.
If you had a doubt in your mind that Pete Carroll didn't want to leave last year, just look at this. He's taking interviews.
Yeah, I'm just not ready to see Mike Tomlin be the hammer in the in memoriam. Like, I'm not ready for it. I don't know what picture Andy's going to choose for the deep dives, but I don't want Tomlin in there. I'm not ready for it.
And to be fair, Vrabel didn't want to trade AJ Brown and didn't let Derrick Henry walk. I mean, that seems like a low bar to clear, though. Oh, you wanted to keep AJ Brown? Like that? Yeah, that's like conventional wisdom. Like the ownership and GM group there was bad. And obviously, they didn't give Rand Carthen much of a chance either. But it's a bad ownership group down there at this point. Bud would be sad, I think.
Well, let's see.
And then I did see this too. Schefter tweeted out that if the wildfires affect the Monday game, it will be in Glendale.
My finger on the pulse locally is it's not going to be a big deal by Monday. Like, the fires are in the hills, far from Inglewood. Air quality would be the only issue if they haven't been.
I was going to say it is an open air stadium technically.
Yeah, the air quality is the only thing. There's no real risk of people being able to get to and from Inglewood, and there's no real risk of fire there. It's entirely air quality question mark, I think, at this point. Anyway, I think Vrabel is an objectively good coach. Okay. Like, that's fine.
He's fine, but I think you know what Vrabel's ceiling is, and you have a bunch of young offensive coordinators in Cohen, in Johnson, in Brady, in maybe even Pensing.
Yeah,
a bunch of guys that what if their ceiling is what if their ceiling is super high? Whereas like if you want Vrabel, it's like, oh, good, our ceiling is like 10, 11 wins, maybe win a division once Josh Allen retires.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I look at Vrabel as like, I thought he was a bit of a distressed commodity, and apparently he's the hottest commodity on earth because every single team wants to interview him. And it's like, I guess they all see him as the Dan Campbell that's just sitting out there, I guess. You know,
it's like it's Belichick has said he's not going to renege on his
UNC. He's a Tar Heel
for life, and
what a choice.
I guess this is your generic Bill Belichick.
Didn't even want to do a service academy. Went to North Carolina.
I know he has some connections there. He does have some connections, but yeah, I thought it would be like Navy. So
Chapel Hill's lovely. All right.
Sunday.
First game is Denver Buffalo. I laid it with Buffalo. I don't think Denver's really in this game, and it's for a lot of this kind of stuff we talked about already, which is how are they overcoming a 2-score margin at any point, and will they be at a 2-score deficit at any point? And I would say they can't, and they will. Bo Nix, this feels like your classic example that you put in the textbook under rookie quarterback disasters. I don't know that he's going to be bad, but I don't think he's going toe to toe with Josh Allen. Not right now. Sorry.
This is one that stuck out right away to me to bet Denver.
Really?
And then well, just looking at the raw numbers, looking at Buffalo's defense right now.
Sure.
But man, everything that I've found after that has been like, man, do you want to back a rookie quarterback on the road here? Do you want to go against Josh Allen and this offense and how they can hum? Because truthfully, like, maybe the numbers week 16 and 17 aren't real. He said it in a press conference. They weren't really trying. They weren't putting their best stuff on tape because they didn't feel like they had an objective shot at actually getting the 1 seed. This is probably a much better team than we've seen for anything they've put on tape for at least a month. So like Denver looks real good. It looks enticing as this is a fun team with a strong defense, a good pass rush, a true lockdown number 1 corner, some really good linebackers. But I mean, if you start to look at Buffalo's defense as well, it started to get healthier. And I'm struggling to back Denver again because I've done it a few times and it's been a bad time. Even the ones they win, it's a bad time. Half has a point though. Broncos just destroyed the champs. I love that.
That's true.
I love that comment.
That's a great point.
Obviously it's probably a great teaser leg. If you want to go the whole opposite direction, it's probably a great teaser leg depending on where it's sitting. But I can't get to this number. It would be funny if Buffalo beats Denver by 38-0, and then we could be like, well, Denver's better than Cincinnati by 38, and Buffalo's better than Denver by 38. Then Buffalo's better than Cincinnati by, well, you gotta account for home field, I guess, but 76
65 points.
Yeah, take away minus 1.8, and
all right.
Yeah, I don't know how you feel about this. I don't know how you feel about this Denver defense. It's very
I don't really
good.
like them.
It's very good. Benito's good. The linebackers are good. The coverage is good, but when faced with really good teams,
a good scheme, honestly.
Well, go even. I mean, how do you
scheme
feel
or
about
deep
Zach
talent?
Taylor?
That's fine. Scheme,
he's fine. But I'm just saying, like a good offense with multiple weapons, or a problem, quarterback that's a problem to defend. They don't look so hot anymore.
Yeah. I'd like. This is kind of the worst matchup for them possible. Like if you have Pat Surtain out there, you want to go up against the likes of the Bengals where you can lock down their number 1, right? Like Pat Surtain, go take care of Amari Cooper. Okay. His role is somewhat muted anyway. Like there's still a lot of possible ways that they can move the ball on you. I feel like James Cook is being slept on wildly for how useful of a piece he is for this offense. Brady has done a really nice job, I think, coordinating this offense. Josh Allen is unstoppable. Yeah.
I don't even know if Cook is that good. He's good. I don't want to take that away.
The offensive line is amazing. Yes.
But the run blocking for this team has been very good. That's where I wonder if this just turns into the game we described with Baltimore a few minutes ago, where does Josh Allen need to push the ball deep? Does Josh Allen need to go Superman? Or is it winning ugly with short stuff?
Evidence of the playoffs years past would suggest that they don't fiddle fuck around when they're favorites.
It's true.
What was it's burned into the back of my brain where I see it when I sleep. But the first half that the Bills had against the Patriots, when the Patriots were overmanned in Buffalo, they score 5 times on five touchdowns with five drives in that first half. Like that was the most superlative half of football I've ever seen a team play in a playoff setting, and it was just incredible. And there's been a number of other examples like that where the Bills.
That was like 40. That was like 48-10 or something.
The Bills played a shitty game against the Bills played a shitty game against the Steelers last year and covered with their eyes closed.
31-17.
It wasn't, and the actual, like they I thought they played a poor game for them. So yeah, I mean, I didn't really even hesitate. I just laid Buffalo here, and I think there's potential for this total to go over, especially now that it's come down to 46 and a half at some places. And the reason I think that is I could see the Bills getting to 48.
Somebody's asking about Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper did not travel to New England because of a personal family matter. He did return to the facility and plans to play against the Broncos. It was something he needed to take care of, and it's taken care of. He is back. Terrell Bernard, he missed, the week 18 as well. He is playing. He's back. The Broncos are fairly healthy as well. But no, Cooper will be back.
Yeah. I guess they did fiddle around with Skylar Thompson and the Dolphins, but that Bills team was weirdly limping. They did well. They kind of screwed around against the Colts as well before beating the Ravens. So yeah, I mean, there's some playoff games that are a little bit underwhelming on their card, but when I've seen them take on an inferior opponent in the time of year where it matters, I feel like they are a very, very dominant unit. And so I don't love taking the points against the Ravens, but I don't mind it in a playoff setting. I definitely would not take the points against the Bills, especially because you are going to be facing a 20-something point deficit and be like doing the math. Like, I need Bo Nix to have a touchdown drive, and then they're going to be down by so much that they're going to need another touchdown drive, and then a 2-point conversion, and then I'm going to get inside of.
And they got to stop.
They got to stop James Cook. Like that feels real. Like at that point, you're going to be doing that mental calculus if you take the points with them, right? I think.
It's going to come down to Knicks, and I'm not as confident with you that this is a blowout. I think a teaser's nice. I think it gets there. I think the over probably gets there because I think their offense looks good, but it's really going to come down to Knicks. Does he look like a quarterback who belongs against, even getting healthier, and Bernard's back, and the safeties have been playing better? Does he look like he belongs, or does he look like week 18 Sam Darnold? If he looks shaky and he's missing easy throws, he's making bad decisions, he's scrambling at the wrong time, he's not scrambling at the wrong time. If he fully, it doesn't even have to be an egg laying. It just has to be a mediocre performance. They're not going to cover this number. If he looks like if he's looked like he's looked against some of the middling defenses they've played, they can stay within this price. But it might come at the hands of garbage time. It might be like, hey, this is a 14-point game late. It's over.
You want
the spread is going to be decided on this drive that doesn't matter.
Yeah. You want my secret unlock for this game?
What's that?
It's not going to make anyone a lot of money because you just can't get a lot of money in these markets. But Nick's rushing yards over.
I like that.
Look at the splits of his rushing attempts, mostly on scrambles when he's on the road and when he's losing. Like that is literally the time where he gets to exercise Andy's famous sneaky athleticism.
He is so fast.
So fast. I was kicking around the idea of some of the superlative market bets and what direction I want to go in. And if you don't already know this, like, am I frozen?
No. Oh, no, you are. Yeah, you froze for a sec. I wasn't watching.
Yeah, I opened up a website that I shouldn't have that nukes my computer every time.
Was it yellow and black?
No. But I know what you're talking about. The superlatives, the most fun bets to make, clearly.
I love these. Like most rushing yards in the playoffs.
Most rushing yards in the playoffs. Most rushing yards for the
weekend. Yeah.
Quarterbacks wild card weekend because of 3 reasons. The first is
Lamar's can be a favorite.
Quarterbacks. Well, he's not. It's like Barkley and Jacobs and.
Oh, they don't have a just quarterback rushing one.
No. I'm saying take the quarterbacks in the most rushing yards market because it's the playoffs. Quarterback rushing goes up. They're less conscientious about their health because it's win or go home. The running backs in that market, they're a little tired. There's a lot of tape on what they do well. Like they've carried the ball a lot so far this season, and the prices are just bananas. And if you're playing those kind of markets, you're not getting very big bets down anyway, so you might as well swing for the fences. So all that said, I like top rusher of the week, Bo Nix, at
spicy,
just an absolutely insane number. It has to have 3 digits. If it doesn't, I wouldn't play it.
I spent a lot of time looking at like most passing yards because Allen and Lamar are favorites in that. And this is for the playoffs, not just this week, the playoffs. Because there's a really decent chance one of those teams goes to the Super Bowl, and then they would play 4 games. But I was starting to look at some of those, like Goff shouldn't be listed. Goff plays 3 games max, and there's a decent chance it's 1 or 2. Starting to look at some of those other wild card teams that aren't, or not wild card, but wild card weekend teams that have a chance, that have some bigger numbers for the passers, because there's a decent chance you get 4 games. And if you get 4 games, it's fully predicated on you having 3 massive games leading into it. Otherwise you're not there, like the Bakers and probably Darnold. And that's more of, just JJ, JJ had massive weeks and he couldn't be stopped. There's a lot of deep stuff, a lot of explosive stuff like they're good at. So I think there's some nice long shots in those markets too. I'm going to probably spend most of tomorrow on that after I finish mock draft number 2. Oh man, I'm learning some kids.
I love this angle from Sam. Elway's best draft pick and his worst mistake up against the Broncos this week. That of course is Von Miller and not taking Josh Allen. Wow. Actually not taking any of the quarterbacks in that draft. Apparently the 2018 draft is all of them are here. Yeah. All 4. Well, not Josh. What was that other guy?
Josh Rosen.
Josh Rosen. Yes. But
Allen, Lamar, Darnold, Mayfield.
All of them in
4 or 5. Meatloaf said that ain't bad.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I like I said, loved Denver. Just looking at the raw number, everything I dug into was like, I love this less and less and less. And I don't know if I can bet this. And, it's probably going to be a fun game to watch. Some props, which leads us to the afternoon where Philadelphia will host Green Bay.
Yeah. I can't really untangle this one. I got nothing. What do you got?
I like Philly here, I think.
Okay.
I think if they win by margin. It's kind of a pick your poison deal for the defense because Green Bay's defense, Jair Alexander out for the season. Safeties have had to do a lot, and they do struggle with like teams with a true alpha wide receiver one. Go look at that first. I mean, even Addison against Green Bay, a true separator, a good route runner, somebody who doesn't drop balls. I don't think I believe somebody said that AJ Brown didn't have a drop this year, like something that's listed as technically as a drop. And I really don't think it's a Saquon game. Maybe until the second half. I think they can just kind of pick on the secondary at a certain point and do what they want because it's not been a good defense when they've gone up against elite teams.
You know what you're telling me though. You know what the story you're telling me sounds right. But I don't think it comes like that out of the gate. This is a lot of rust. A lot of rust on Jalen Hurts so far. A lot.
I know. I hate to do that because
it's been like 20. How many days?
He practiced today.
I know, but what was the gap? What was the break? He was away from football activities for 21, 22?
I don't think it was that much. He missed
it was a big number.
It's like 2.5 weeks. I think it was like 15, 16 days.
It's been a bigger gap than that, I think.
We'll have to look.
I
don't know if it matters for the game plan they give him. They don't ask him to be Patrick Mahomes. It's a lot of handoffs and a lot of easy stuff to AJ Brown because he gets great separation.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess I'm not super worried about Jalen Hurts at all. People were concerned about that earlier in the week, and I had to be like, hey, they don't have to say he's fine. because there's no practice reports. They can say whatever they say. No, he's still in the concussion protocol. You can't make me say anything. I plead the fifth.
Well, I'll just tell you that the last couple of times that Hurts has had a gap, he's come back and he's been a little
I know, but those were like legitimate injuries. Those were like bad. This is a concussion.
Yes, rust is gonna I'm just saying, like,
no, but I mean, those were. I don't think he was healthy.
He only throws one type of pass deep, and he doesn't really attack the middle of the field effectively. He's just sidelines.
People forget how to do that when they take.
Well, if the touch is a little off, then he's either maybe hesitant to throw those. He's maybe.
I wouldn't be against this defense.
Okay, well, he's also regularly thrown interceptions when he's had big gaps, and is not his timing's not there, not 100%. I would also say that I would like to see it that he is capable of slicing apart this defense before feeling super confident. And I would also like to see that they are willing to put his head in harm's way, right?
I think I'm fine putting him in harm's way. Yeah, Pickett right there. Yeah, this is true. DJ Moore kind of even had his way. There's been a lot of wide receivers that have had their way.
Yeah,
I don't think he needs to be having a lot of touch when there's 5 yards of separation on some of these routes. And truthfully, they're going to still mix in plenty of Saquon, and that's going to be plenty effective. This has not been a great defense for Green Bay.
Okay, so I guess my opinion is I'd like Jordan Love to prove it that his elbow feels good. I'd like Jalen Hurts to prove it that he doesn't have any rust from the layoff.
And I will say Green Bay's rush defense has looked better at the end of the year, but some of that is opponent driven. You know, Jones wasn't 100% for that game. They went up against the Bears. There were some games where they didn't have the strongest rushing attacks against them. So their rushing defense looks pretty good right now. That does give me a little hesitation, whether it's signal or not. Is it just opponent based, or
you're talking about
Green Bay's run stop?
Okay.
Green Bay's run stop looks good over the last month or so.
Okay.
But they haven't played a offensive line like this. They haven't played a running back in a scheme like this. So I wonder if there's a little bit of support because of that.
Okay. I played some first half under 22 and a half. I played some full game under 45 and a half. I think this is a little bit of a more lower scoring game. I'm not especially concerned about Green Bay upsetting the Eagles, but at their scope, I think there's going to be a lot of third and long for Jordan Love to do miraculous stuff. And without Watson, I don't know if that's realistic. I think the Eagles defense is the only standout unit right now going in this game. And I know that there's a lot of great things about the Eagles offense, but don't love the way it's coordinated. Don't love the downside potential, the low floor potential of what if Hurts isn't sharp. And I don't rate Green Bay's defense at all, but they can take the ball away. They've done a decent job of coming up with key takeaways. And the week 1 game, I think, is a complete toss. I don't think that means anything for this matchup.
Such a weird one. It was on a goofy field in a foreign country, week 1.
Yeah. If Philly didn't have such outstanding home field advantage, I would be tempted to get involved with the Pack at this price, but with Love,
I don't see how they move the ball. Like you said, there's going to be a lot of third and longs, and without Watson, who's your chain mover? Who's your deep threat? Who's your outside guy that matters? Like, I don't know if it's like
it's going to be a lot of smoke and mirrors to get Tucker Kraft.
I think you keep everyone else in their same positions, and you lean on like Bo Melton to try to fill in and let Dobbs do what Dobbs does. It doesn't feel like a good offense right now for Green Bay with Watson out.
Yeah.
Love he's banged up too. That's kind of
the elbow. Yeah, I need to see him prove it that he is sharp. He's feeling good.
He has like numb. Yeah, he's like numbness there. He says, "I'm fine. I'm going to play," but I don't know that he's 100%. I'm much more worried about Jordan Love than Jalen Hurts at this point, because honestly, those Eagles teams that had the layoffs late in the season, those were injuries to. Those were actual injuries that weren't just, hey, you have a concussion, your bell got rung, and we're not going to allow you to play or practice. those are real injuries, and those Eagles teams were on hard downward swings for a multitude of other reasons. Like
Sure.
none of those Eagles teams went into the playoffs with like we bet against them like every year. Like, oh, this team has nothing going for them, and their quarterback is coming back from an injury. So I love when I do. This happens all the time, Sam. People do this all the time where they're not live and they're posting comments a little behind. We don't mind. It's fun.
It doesn't. Yeah. If they're good, they're good. All right.
I'm laying it. I don't care.
Okay. Final question for you. If the Eagles do lose, is this the last game Nick Sirianni?
I would think you fire him on the spot. You fire him before he leaves the field.
Okay. And
you're running to tackle him before he can get to the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get your interview in with Vrabel, right?
Who would you hire? If you're the Eagles, you lose, you fire Sirianni. Who's going to
This is the easiest answer. This is so easy. Kellen Moore, you're gone. Vic Fangio. Yep. You're now the head coach of this squad. We can't lose Vic Fangio. You can't lose Vic Fangio with the growth that you got this year. You are looking at the pieces you've assembled on defense. All these bets you've made on these young players.
You just keep him in the DC spot. Where's he going to go?
That's one of the things I'm surprised is he is like all of these kind of all of these retreads are getting their tires kicked, and no one wants to interview the guy who has the only good defense in the NFL.
I mean, that's not true. Like Flores, Weaver. God, who's the other DC that's getting looks right now?
Sirianni to the Jags. This is hilarious.
Sirianni to the Jags, and this is true too.
What a fit.
I hadn't heard this, but I trust Patrick. Fangio just said he doesn't want to be a head coach anymore. I think you keep in the DC spot and you find Aaron Glenn, Flores, Weaver. Some of the other guys are getting some looks.
And those are good defensive coordinators. Don't get me wrong.
But I'm hiring an offensive guy.
Yeah, I just don't want. I just want Sirianni and Kellen Moore gone, and I want to keep Fangio somehow, and I don't know how you finesse that unless you make him the head coach.
I think you know what I'd want to get one of those OCs on one of the teams that affects me, like one of the other good teams.
Cliff Kingsbury?
No, I go get like
what?
I get Cohen or Joe Brady.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then just you call plays. The offensive coordinator is
Hey,
what's your name, buddy? Joe Bub, whatever. What do you do? I'm the running backs coach. No, you're not. You're the OC now, but you're not doing anything. Like they always just do that. Like, hey, guess what? You're gonna help me. You're gonna get my coffee.
Okay, I like it.
Or Nagy. I'm kidding. People are calling him. There was a tweet that went out saying the whole Jets because other teams are calling Nagy. There had to be a tweet today that said the Bears will not be going after him. like they went out of there, but it came from a news source where like it came from Hallis Hall saying, hey, just to let you know, he's not on our list. I wanted to make that clear. It made me laugh.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. Poor Chicago.
Cohen or Brady for me for that spot would be great. A seventh opening would complicate things.
Cohen and Brady would be cool. Yeah. We surprised Ryan Grubb got
this is fun. So Ben Johnson, because he coaches for the Lions, and at worst case, he has a job until through next weekend. If the Eagles lose and they do shit can Sirianni, I'm taking another Zoom meeting because this is a much better situation with
you're winning a Super Bowl year one. Yeah.
This is the best GM situation you could hope for. It's a spot where you have your quarterback, your offensive line, your wide receiver one, everything's in place for you.
Yeah. You can plug and play your shit with these guys. You're not reaching.
It's wild. Yeah. Like I would, I'd pump the brakes on, well, do I really want to go to Jacksonville when Philly's sitting there calling?
Does he want to go to Jacksonville?
Yeah, now I'm cheering. He took all of them. He took all of the job calls because he's still coaching. They can only do virtual, so it's like, what's he gonna do? Not just take a 20-minute call with someone or something? I don't know how long those are. Probably an hour.
Yeah. Well, Nutflesh says, "What's up? What up, Nutflesh? Hope all is well in your neck of the woods.
Happy New Year.
San Diego or San Francisco? He's a San Francisco fan. I think he lives in San Diego. Anyway, Happy New Year.
Lodi, I believe.
Right. Lodi? No.
I made
Was
that
it?
up.
No. Lodi's lovely.
Night game. Surprise. And one final thing. This is the third straight home game for Philadelphia. They've not traveled for quite a while. So Jalen Hurts, despite being rusty, at least is rested and healthy through the holidays. Same thing goes for Tampa. So Tampa has not traveled.
A lot of good that did Oregon.
This will be their third straight game at home against Washington at night. I did not see this being the night game. This total was open 50.5. It has not moved an inch.
It's 51 at one point. I got a 51.
Really?
Under. Yeah.
I didn't see much movement at all.
I got it under 51 at 110
2
days ago.
I guess I didn't look into the right places, but opened up a cheap 3.5.
Do you think that's right? Do you agree with that? I have under 50. I have under 51 minus 108 on 1/6 at 2:43.
I think the number's fine. It's correct.
You think that 51 is right, or 50.5 is right?
No, I think generally low 50s is fine. I don't have. I think this is a wide range of outcomes based on not understanding how healthy Lattimore and Antoine Winfield are. They're both going to play, but if they're ineffective, there are some guys that can take the top off. If this goes over, it feels like you're not really sweating it in the second half. Like, oh, this lost. Oh well. Like this wasn't a sweat. They scored touchdowns instead of field goals. Maybe we've got 5 touchdowns in and nobody's even been in the red zone at that point. It could be one of those games with these defenses. If it's a little cagier, I think it's the same situation. He clears this easily.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Do you have an opinion one way or the other whether Jaden Daniels is so special that he can avoid the playoff debutant yips?
Oh, have we seen it?
Has anyone ever? Is that what you're asking?
We're talking about Skylar Thompson kind of did. I feel like when the expectations
he had nothing to lose. Yeah. He had nothing to lose.
The expectations are just so low, it doesn't matter. I mean, we saw it with Burrow, I guess, his first season.
His debutante game, they beat the Raiders because Derek Carr threw it into a guy's helmet instead of completing a touchdown pass that would have knocked him out in round 1.
But he wasn't horrible. I don't think he was horrible.
Also. No, he wasn't horrible. No, he was fine. He wasn't. I didn't think he was especially good then. And honestly, R.I.P. and peace, Lou Anarumo. The Cincinnati defense carried that Burrow team to the that deep run and his first.
It was a weird firing.
Yeah. But I mean Burrow. Okay. If you want to use that as this guy didn't lose his first playoff game, okay. Neither did Tom Brady, but he probably should have.
If we're comparing it to some of these guys have legitimate stinkers. Like some of these guys come out and look horrid, don't they?
Yeah. Pat Mahomes won his first playoff game, but it was ugly. I don't think he covered. It was against the Colts, if I remember. And then the next round, he was excellent. I wouldn't use him as the barometer either. I wouldn't either. Shit, man. I don't think I'll ever forget Jalen Hurts' first playoff game on the road. Young quarterback against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Todd Bowles' defense.
Who's the quarterback that day?
Was Tom Brady.
Yeah. That's a trick question.
Oh, okay.
Because I always forget that existed for some reason.
I think Tom Brady, the second best quarterback in Buccaneers history after Baker Mayfield, right?
Brad Johnson's up there. Brad Johnson so -3. I'm pretty much on market with this side in total. I'm fine with this. I'm very excited to watch this game.
Okay.
And I think you kind of nailed it. It comes down to if we see, 80% of the best game that Jaden Daniels had this year, this is an incredibly competitive game where both defenses are sucking air and hating life because, the last game maybe notwithstanding that it's been a pretty impressive Tampa Bay offense for the better part of the second half of the year too. We've seen a few games where they played a bad defense and they put it on them. You know, they have been known to put it on a team.
Oh yeah.
Last week, that's what made last week so weird. Like, why are they stuck in the mud? I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Obviously, they got it done, and then it made the Atlanta game not matter. I was watching that game, and it's like funny. It's like, do they know? Do they know that they're out? Do they scoreboard watch? And that this game didn't matter? And then I realized like 8 people had them in Survivor too, in the big Survivor. That increased the liquidity, or the winnings for the guys who did split the pot in Circa by a lot.
There was probably a decent amount of hedging on Carolina moneyline, though, right?
I would hope
that was a big number.
I would hope if you took Atlanta, you hedge something so you could at least, put a few grand on there so you don't feel horrible, because the people who did split like 1.7 a piece.
Shit,
obviously, if Atlanta would have won, I think it would have been under $1 million.
Oh wow. Here's the quiz for you, Andy. This game is a rematch of week 1. First playoff start and first ever start for Jaden Daniels will come up against Todd Bowles. Do you recall the market in early September? Really from open till close, like what happened? And just give me a guess, side and total.
I'm guessing that total was lower. 47.
42.
42? What?
Wow. I know. How ridiculous is that? I definitely bet the over that day, which is why I wanted to bring this up. But
90% sure I was on the Bucks that day, because it was like I was a believer in Cohen.
Yep,
and
you were. Yep.
They were.
This one was one that opened up in the summer at 4.5, got bet down to 3. At one point, you could have gotten Tampa Bay -3, -101. Came back up and closed 4, -115. So there was a healthy amount of game day action on fading the rookie first start. And Jaden Daniels, he wasn't great, but he wasn't bad. And I just I just don't have any way to moor myself on terms of what to expect and whether he's different, because he never played a college playoff game. He had like a handful of snaps in an SEC title game before he got hurt, that they were massive.
Bowl games are not a good barometer for anything.
You don't think the Citrus Bowl, where he was the MVP and he beat the Purdue Boilermakers 61-3, is that not a good indicator? That's not a good. Isn't the Citrus Bowl played in Tampa? No, I don't know. It's probably in Orlando. Citrus Bowl. Let's assume it's Orlando. Maybe Jacksonville. I'm sure it's in Florida.
It's Orlando. It's Camping World Stadium, baby.
Camping World. Is that Orlando? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You
know what the record attendance was for Camping World Stadium?
38,175.
64,000. You know what event? You're going to get this one easy.
WWE Raw. It
was WrestleMania 33.
Was it?
Yeah.
WrestleMania.
I'm counting it. I'm counting that.
Yes. All right.
And this is what I'm saying. What Rattler did versus his defense, and I
kind of like. Do you think the Bucks were engaged last week, or were they distracted by the 1,000-yard Mike Evans thing? They thought they were just going to walk it in. They were 14-point favorites. I feel like they thought they were in, and they were like, let's just get this over with. And then they ran into an opponent who wasn't willing to walk into the water.
Yeah, they looked a little sleepy in the first half. Honestly, they were kind of lucky they won. It didn't matter in the long run, I guess, with the result from Carolina, but they looked a little sleepy. And everyone was so concentrated on the Evans thing. Everyone was so concentrated on just, hey, this is over. This is an easy win. I don't know. I'm tempted. I'm tempted.
What about
to this one alone and play props?
Yeah. What about I guess here's the thing. When I think of like the offenses that really put it on the Bucks D, it was ones that had multiple threats that could really put serious pressure on on CB2-3 safety group, particularly as they were like they had a rotating cast of healthy characters, like that. that if you have a bunch of weapons that you can really put pressure on them, then you're gonna look good as an offense, and they're gonna look bad as a defense. And I don't see that with Washington. You have Terry McLaurin and Zach Ertz, Brian Robinson,
Zacchaeus,
Olamide Zacchaeus. I just
Eckler,
I get
McCaffrey,
that
Osborne.
Jaden Daniels is special. I'm not going to deny anyone putting him in like the top 10 of quarterbacks, and I'm not good. There are people out there banging on the table saying he's the best quarterback in this NFC playoff picture. Can you deny that? He's performed the best of any of them this year. His total EPA generated is better than any of them. Maybe Goff
team. Let's say they all have the same weapons to throw to. Who are you taking to win one game out of the NFC quarterbacks?
Is it a playoff game, and has Jaden Daniels gotten his feet wet already?
No, it's a playoff game. You're getting rookie, never played a playoff game, Jaden Daniels, or the other 6.
I'm taking Stafford in a heartbeat.
Oh, really?
Yes. Must win? Yes.
I'm taking
Stafford.
Baker.
You're taking Baker. You're going to war with Baker. Bake show. Okay.
Yeah, I'm taking Baker. It's close. I mean, yours has very much merit. Like, he has so much playoff experience.
He has a ring.
Yeah, he's very good. Stafford's good, but I'd take Baker.
Yeah. Okay.
I got to stick with my guy. That's just a loyalty thing.
Okay. I won't be shocked if the Commies win. I think the Bucks will win. I think the Bucks will cover. If I was in a pick contest, I guess I would take Tampa, but I would do it very, very cautiously. And I think under was the bet at 51, and I think it's still under at 50.5, largely because I think Tampa Bay's defense can keep this thing contained. And I also think this could be the type of game where the explosive plays are buttoned up a bit, and this is more of a methodical bleed type of drive. And they
Tampa's rush defense has been good of late as well too. That stepped up a little bit. The rush defense has been good. It'll come down to some of the, like I said, the health of some of these secondary pieces. Winfield was a full participant today. Jamal Dean returned to practice after he missed some time. He had his knee thing a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. He's probably going to go. He's going to be fine. They might get Cade Otton back. That's up in the air, but Bowles was a little optimistic. And then the other kind of knock on Washington right now is Biotish and Lucas on the offensive line have been limited this week.
Don't love that.
Don't love that for Jaden Daniels. And it's going to have to be, like you said, they don't have a plethora of weapons through the air. They're probably not going to be able to run terribly effectively this week. It's going to have to be a Jaden Daniels masterclass to win this game. It feels like Tampa Bay more often than not.
Do you think Jaden Daniels is live for most rushing?
I mean, if they win the game, he's probably got to have a triple-digit game where he.
Bo Nix was 200-1. I closed the window and I can't open it again, but Daniels' number was big too.
Well, they should be. Yeah,
it's going to be beautiful, by the way, in Tampa. Weather looks amazing.
That sounds nice. It's like 1 degree today when I got up.
1 degree what?
A single degree, not even a plural.
Fahrenheit?
1, yeah. It was. We got a bit of a polar vortex up here.
Oh,
it's a good week to just stay inside and drink whiskey. Dude, this isn't even water. This is straight up like broth. I'm just so cold.
Bone broth. You're on the bone broth.
I can't drink coffee all day long because then I just won't sleep at night. But some herbal tea, some broth. I need warm things in me at all times. All right.
Finally, I got to answer this question from Zabier82, who we got in the NBA. Looking for Cavs -2.5, Raps +12.5, Blazers -2 or +2, I can't remember, and Clippers -2 tonight. And then, but tomorrow is the big one with the Warriors. They're 5-point dogs. This is the last 5-point favorites. This is the last time I bet the Warriors this year if they don't cover. They fucking killed me yesterday. That Warriors performance yesterday was just ripped my heart out. All right. You want to talk about Monday or you want to save that until we know where the games are being played? And we got to do it.
let's give it a little time. We're not going to have a podcast between now and then. We'll just
I haven't spent as much time working the gray matter on this one, so bear with me.
No, it's the same thing, and we're going to have less information on the injury stuff. Not that there's a ton anyway with this one, but
yeah,
we're not gonna know as much on this one because it is Monday game. And yes, if the Wildfires do get weird, they'll move this. This opened to Minnesota -2.5, and it's been bet mercilessly towards the Rams. It's now a pick 'em 47.5. A little bit of a slight movement up. Corum, your backup running back, fractured his forearm. He's not going to play anymore this year. Havenstein is expected to play Monday. The injuries to watch will be Vikings defenders. Pat Jones, who had the dirty hit low a couple weeks back on his knee. Fabian Moreau, the corner, and Camus Grugier-Hill, the linebacker.
Those are players for the Vikings?
Yeah, I mean, they play. Fabian Moreau he cycles in.
I know Fabian Moreau. I don't know the other guys. All right.
KGH, we call him.
Oh, KGH. Okay. I generally lean under here. Now that this is Rams pick'em, I have no opinion on the side. I think that is correct.
Yeah.
I like the under. It's gone up, so this is against me. I think that where I kind of key on the Rams, or at least my current opinion of the Rams, is I know their defenses. It's boom or bust pass rush. I think the fact that you can get in Darnold's face and the fact that he was staring it down like it was coming to eat him is noteworthy against the Lions. And I don't know if that's
the Rams have any good pass rushers.
Yes, and particularly ability to get the interior pass rush going. I don't know. Did they finish the season with the most pressures, or was it the Texans? Most pressures. You got a guess?
I think they're third.
The Rams were. Oh, they were actually down the list. QBP. I guess this is counting pressures. They were 13th. So they fell off big time. Pressure rate, they were 10th. The number one pressure team was the Denver Broncos, but that's moot. The number two pressure team was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Am I in the right year? I think I am. Surprise. All right.
So, funny enough, like Diaby and Vita Vea,
they've been playing great. Yeah.
Quite a bit of pressure.
That's why
Jared
I like
Verse. If you guys follow Brandon Thorne,
sure,
he does a lot of stuff.
Trench warfare.
He has something called true pressure rate, which, without getting into it, is probably a better metric. Verse was third. Awesome. In fact, your third and fourth place players will be in this game, as Jonathan Grenard was fourth, ahead of Micah Parsons. Chris Jones and Myles Garrett, number one, and number two, Trey Hendrickson, not that far down the list. But yeah, it's Jared Verse has been very good this year. This is one where Sammy was kind of mad at me about this because he went the other way when he asked me, not knowing who I was going to go with, and I said, man, it's at this price I was still getting points with the Rams, maybe a point and a half, but said at the price it has to be the Rams. I mean, what has changed from last week? A high pressure game against a good pass rush with a good coach. I was kind of down on KOC after last week. I thought that was a bit of a bad game from him. Yeah. I know Darnold was very much to blame, but some of the runs they called in the red zone stuff in general, that kind of lost you the game. And then it's not a team who can compete defensively against a good offense when they're trailing. Like Flores' stuff does not work when you're trailing. Flores' stuff excels when you're ahead. But it's another good quarterback. This is a better wide receiver core. It's a rematch. The thing that Vikings backers and anyone trying to have any copium on this have kind of leaned on is Flores said this. We really didn't think Puka Nacua was going to play in that game, he says. Like they game planned as if he were out. That was a massive surprise for them. And he shredded them that day. So, I mean, it was a pretty big surprise. I had him at like 5% to play. I didn't think he was coming back. That was a a bit of an underhanded Shanahan type move. It's like, hey,
all of us
guess
here in
what?
LA were prepared for it. We were excited.
Guess what? He's fine. You
I'm
were
just
not.
kidding. I'm kidding.
But no, it was surprising. I don't know how much I love that. From it's like, hey, it's one guy. It's an important guy, but if you can't adjust to him, maybe this defense isn't that great.
Yeah. I would say
Shirt. Quilted.
Oh, it's very comfortable. You know what it's good for?
From
1 degree weather. Yeah.
I get this brought to you by Cool.
Yes.
Love
this is.
I love this.
This
I love
this is a marine layer, under layer. Yeah. Marine layer. Yeah. The question mark for me mostly in this one is, what is the Rams offense right now? It feels like it's been an eternity since they've played a game that mattered. And
their offenses looked like dog shit for like 4 weeks.
Dog shit for 4 weeks. Yeah. That said, when asked, Matthew Stafford has lit his hair on fire and run out of that tunnel this year against the Bills, against the Vikings. And they're obviously were comfortable enough with this potential matchup that they olayed in week 18 for some reason. Which means there's something about Flores' scheme that McVay is like, he thinks he has some stuff cooked up. I wouldn't be surprised. Stafford is masterful.
Same thing.
Under that. It's the same thing. Dude, the degree to which the Rams and the Lions are, it's the same picture is it's not lost on me. The health is maybe the only difference. Or I guess the offensive line for the Lions is much better, but otherwise, yeah. I mean, the success they had in the playoff run where they went to the Super Bowl, the most impressive game they played was obviously against the Cardinals, where they were just matched up against an inexperienced quarterback. The second biggest success they had was against the Bucs, where they were up against a blitz happy team. And just in general, there's been a lot of McVay kind of maniacally laughing in my head as I watch him call up plays that just ruin, otherwise well schemed defensive blitzes. And I do think that there's a real world where they've become too predictable about the usage of Puka. Have you seen any of these numbers?
Where he's dropped off?
No, not the dropped off, but the frequency at which he is utilized when he's in motion. Like, it's such a high frequency that it's almost like you can get your defense, unless it's all been a setup. Like, when he is in motion, like, he is getting the ball, either running or passing.
Well, that's where I wonder about. You got a guy in McVay here who essentially took last week off.
Yeah,
it's not as if he didn't play, but you get the feeling in a game they didn't care about because they didn't play starters. You're not sitting there and installing new packages. You're not sitting there and working on new things and trying to find wrinkles to beat this defense. It's a game you've essentially conceded, but you're just not allowed to tip your king over and walk home. You have to go through the motions. So he's been probably working on a game plan for 2 weeks to put something together to, be effective against whomever he's playing in the the playoffs. And there was a situation where they still win that game. There's situations where different things happen to Washington. There was a lot of different directions they could have gone as far as who they played. It could have still been Detroit or Minnesota, even with this situation. So I'm not so sure he had, specific things in mind for a specific defense, but it feels like he's been scheming shit up for 2 weeks. And that sucks if you're Flores, because Flores, he didn't have time for that. He had to put everything he had towards trying to stop a Detroit offense and they did again.
It's an extra day.
Air. He stopped him through the air. Just, boy, Minnesota couldn't stop the run.
He's got an extra day.
He does have an extra day. That's nice.
All right. That's about all I got, man.
Yeah.
I don't
know. And that's another one. Rams are also a third straight home game for LA, and it's back-to-back road games for mini Minnesota.
Yeah, short travel though, right? It's easy to get to Detroit.
For 4 hours.
From you?
Yeah.
By plane?
Yeah.
No.
Do you realize how far south LA is?
Compared to Minnesota? No. Minnesota, Detroit. I'm saying that trip was a little.
Oh
Yeah.
no, that's like an hour 20.
Yeah, no, I know it's 4 hours to LA. I was like, what? No, you drive? You do a helicopter? I don't even know how you could make 4. I don't know how you could make that take 4 hours. Take a boat across, fly to Chicago, take a boat across Lake Michigan.
I have taken that boat across Lake Michigan. It's awesome. They show movies. You just sit
Oh,
there
yeah?
with your car.
The Edmund
underneath.
Fitzgerald?
No, it's like a ferry. You get to skip Chicago. That's the whole point. You don't drive through Chicago.
Oh, okay.
You end up in beautiful that coast where it's all just resort towns.
Oh, cool. All right. The hot
air balloon. Jesus.
Yeah, I would get you there. All right. I don't really have anything else. And I will cede the time to either superlative stuff.
Muskegon
Other thoughts
is
you have?
100% right. Muskegon,
Other thoughts you have? What do you think the highest scoring game of the week is? Is there an angle that you like in any of these superlative markets? Do you have an opinion on Super Bowl MVP market, which popped?
Not really. I think there's a few spots where I liked Stafford for a bit, but realized like of all the quarterbacks, he's probably more like the most likely to not win it if he won the Super Bowl because of his receivers.
Yeah. Tough question from Zev. Clap or the herpes, which is worse? I honestly don't know. Herpes is forever. Clap.
Chlamydia.
Take a little,
curable, right?
Yeah, take a little antibiotics and you're good to go. And also, I think I don't know this firsthand, but I think chlamydia is way worse to have if you're a woman than a guy. I think I don't even know if you have it if you're a guy. But I'm old, so it's been a long time since I took health class.
Yeah, you don't want herpes. Herpes is forever.
Yeah. Well, we probably all have some herpes simplex, right? Like when you get a cold sore, isn't that just herpes?
Is the clap actually gonorrhea? See, I associate the C.
Chlamydia and gonorrhea.
Sam says, I'm eating dinner.
Chlamydia and gonorrhea are both, I think, what do you call it?
I mean, it's not like you
nuke them with an antibiotic. I'm pretty sure. But again, it's been a long time since I took health class.
I had a buddy who he said, you know how they would test for COVID by sticking the thing in your nose?
Yeah.
It's similar to that, different body part.
Oh, Christ. Oh, I'm in pain. Mental pain. Okay. Do you have an opinion?
I don't want to do coaching. I don't want to do coaching stuff. I want opinion on non-coaching vacancies. Would you have fired Dable?
No.
Same. I think he's a good coach. I hate that they came out and said that they're on a short leash and they want results right now, because that's not how you turn a franchise around at all. Now they're going to be just coaching to save their job.
Well, I mean, did you have much respect for the Mara dynasty, the Mara brain trust in the first place?
Not really.
Not really. Yeah.
McCarthy, would you have shit-canned McCarthy after this year?
Yes, I would have.
I defended him. I still think he's an average head coach in this league.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the fact that you are the Dallas Cowboys and it's a desirable job.
Mm-hmm. That offense is too stale. You need a fresh vision for what to do.
You could have gotten somebody. You could have gotten somebody like a good candidate there.
Okay.
Who's the other one that was close? I think that's kind of it. Those are the two ones.
Well, Pierce was a question mark. Now he's gone.
Jesus Christ, that was scary. Like, are you seriously not going to fire him? I thought they were. I can't believe they did not fire Balky. I think that moves them way down.
Let's let things simmer down and see if he ends up.
I still think McCarthy's a fine coach. McCarthy needs an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, but that's just it. Like at this point in his career, he's just going to hand over that. Well, like I feel like he's the kind of old head who's like, well, if I'm not doing it, then what am I doing here?
You're coaching. You've moved up. Like your management now. It's like when you. This is a thing you learn when you manage. You have to delegate things. You can't be doing everything just because you know how to and you used to be good at it. Like it feels like McCarthy could be in a really good situation somewhere.
It just feels somewhat like there's obviously the problems run deeper in Dallas. The fish rots from the head. Like no fucking shit. Like this is all a Jerry Jones problem. But there's a chance that you have an immediate bounce if you have a good draft, a good free agency, and a fresh mind to craft an offense that can be more effective. My numbers said Micah Parsons was the best defensive player this year. He doesn't get DPOY consideration because he just didn't play enough, but he was fucking awesome. CeeDee Lamb is a fucking matchup nightmare. Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. If you get some, if you replace some pieces on the O-line, if you get some more talent in terms of skill position players who aren't a million years old, then like the bounce is quick if you're a well-coordinated offense. I have a vote no confidence that offense will be well-coordinated, and it's not enough to just get rid of Schottenheimer and bring in another offense coordinator because I think the issue is McCarthy. But how the fuck do I know?
We're not going to find out.
No, we're not going to find out. The real issue is Jerry Jones, and good luck fixing that problem. That's not happening for at least a year.
If you,
anyway.
Drew, could take one job, where would you go?
Oh, you know what? It was another should have probably been considered for firing.
What's that?
Raheem Morris.
That's fair.
The Falcons are not in the playoffs because of him.
Yeah.
He didn't pull the trigger on Kirk Cousins soon enough. And I know that was probably an organizational decision, but the way he mismanaged ends of games, particularly at the death this season, was fireable offense. Sorry.
Oh, another one that people bandied around a little was Steichen.
No, wouldn't.
People talked about it because of how
they fired Gus Bradley, which I completely fine with. I don't know. I didn't understand why Gus Bradley was with Steichen. And then that pairing never made sense to me. They should have gotten rid of him and brought in Vic Fangio a long time ago. But
all right, if you're taking a job, which one do you want? Which is the most desirable spot for you to land right now?
Head coaching.
Openings. If you're the head coach, if you're a 42-year-old man, California roots, East Coast. You have East Coast roots too, though. You can lay this down wherever you want.
Patriots.
I thought it was pretty easy. It's the Patriots, right?
Well, I'm just thinking if enough time has passed that you're outside of the shadow of Belichick, and I think you are. And I think we talked about that when we previewed the Patriots this year because it was like, you don't want to be in the shadow. The Mayo clearly could not kind of do the media part of the job well, or the player communication part of the job well. And I think a lot of that has to do with you're in the shadow of Belichick. And he was either being careful with his words or not careful at the wrong time, or like he was just bungling that part of it because he didn't know that he needed to be more thoughtful in the shadow of Belichick. And I think whoever comes in is going to be sharper.
I don't think Bill delegated that stuff or empowered some of his. Go look at some of the, there's success stories, but some of the coordinators that left under Bill obviously didn't have a lot of success as leaders of men. So Mayo was, I couldn't believe they considered keeping him. I'm glad he won that game. That was funny. I'm glad he's gone. I think that's the number one spot. They have like $130 million in cap space. They have their quarterback. That's about it. I mean, that's about it. They got a good draft pick. I think it's the third or fourth pick. There's going to be two teams ahead of them that want quarterback anyway, at least. If there's even a case to be made for a third quarterback in the first round, which I can't make right now. So you're getting a pretty high-end player as well. It's a good spot, I think.
The Warriors are +2 tomorrow night. That screams that somebody knows Curry and Draymond aren't playing, which is
Higgins in New England would be stellar.
Yes,
that's a good.
Although honestly, you know where I'd rather see Higgins?
Buffalo.
Star on the side of his helmet, baby.
Oh, really?
Higgins and CeeDee Lamb. That's fucking fun. I like Higgins in his wide receiver 2 role. I don't want to make him wide receiver 1 and see him a little diminished. Although I have no idea if they're paying Higgins to go.
We're getting some comments about Belichick's young girlfriend. Kudos, man. I mean, I guess it's like a car. You trade up, get a new model every few years, and him and Zimmer too.
You know the old saying: you're only as old as the woman you feel.
Is that true? Uh, just in case anyone related to me is listening. Love my wife. Love you, honey. I'm on my way home. Super Bowl MVP shots. We went over it a little. I don't have much.
Yeah, it's going to be one of two men.
I'll spend some time on it this week and look if there's some fun long shots. But I think if you have a team in the wild card round that you believe can upset one of these top teams, I really think there's only 3 teams in the AFC that can go, whereas the NFC is a little more wide open, despite how highly I think of Detroit and Philly. They're upsettable. And, there's some bigger numbers on Baker, on Stafford, on Darnold. And if you really like a team.
I would personally just forget about the NFC. Like, all of the equity is too distributed across those teams, and those teams are all going to be dogs, I think. What I need you to talk some sense to me is 151 enough to take CJ Stroud? 150 to 1. There's not a 1% chance that the Texans win the Super Bowl.
4 straight games as a dog, 3 on the road. What do you have him against the Lions?
We saw that game this year, didn't we? Goff threw 5 picks.
Did he lose?
He won.
Nah, like 200's fun. I don't know if 150
200. You think they have a 0.5% chance to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, that's about right. My distribution for AFC teams to win the Super Bowl that aren't Baltimore, Buffalo,
0,
Kansas City is
0.5%,
like a 0.5% combined. Yeah. This would be terribly funny if they make it and Mixon wins the MVP. Something like that, or Daniil Hunter has 7 sacks in the Super Bowl, and he just be like, "Well, what are we gonna do? You got to give it to him."
No, yeah, that's fair. All right,
I had one start. Did you see this clip? This is the final one on Bulky.
Yes.
That is an amazing clip.
Amazing.
Shad Khan, amazing job of just saying, I mean, if it came down to it, we'd get rid of him if we had to. He's in the Zoom meeting with you. I guess we're the only team to say whatever you want. But
yes. It's good. It's just good to know that Shad Khan has his finger on the pulse of the intelligentsia, talking about it. Bulky being Rasputin of that. Rasputin of that organization. I like Shad Khan, honestly. Like, I don't know that he knows how to run a football team, but I like him as a person. Like, I love that mustache. I like that. I respect how much money he's made as an individual. Yes.
All the awards.
All of the awards. Have they been voted on already? I think the votes they're in soon.
I think they're due like now. Yeah,
like today or tomorrow, I believe. Maybe they give him an extension because of the fires in LA. A lot of journalists live in the Palisades. I don't know. I'm joking. I don't think that's true. Some do. But anyway. The regular season awards are in the books before a single playoff game is played. 100% in the books. And if you didn't already know and you're trying to do the math, they are voting for 5 in every category. Yeah. And the scoring is 10, 5, 3, 2, 1.
2, 1. Yeah.
So first place vote all of a sudden is
Josh Barnett says due today.
Due today.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was nice to see that clip of Myles Garrett saying those nice things to that center. Hey, you're not a nobody. You're in the league. I'd vote for him. Honestly, I hope Bengals guy gets it. Name is Hendrickson. The more you look into it, if you really dig in, he's kind of been dominant.
It's tough to produce like that.
Well, for a team they've been trailing. He hasn't been like.
Yes, that's a great point. No one brings that up.
Good game state.
Never.
He's never like, hey, the Bengals are up by 30, and I'm just free rushing every down.
Yeah. And honestly, like the reason the Bengals defense is bad has nothing to do with Hendrickson. It's because every guy behind him can't tackle or doesn't want to tackle or is washed. So, yeah.
I think it is Lamar, Saquon.
Yeah,
I think he overtakes it. This is going to be hot take awards for me. Lamar MVP.
Okay.
Saquon offensive play. Duh. Jaden Daniels. Duh. Jared Verse. Duh. Miles Garrett.
Wow, that's a hot take.
And I'll go with Hendrickson. That's less of a hot take, even though it's longer in the odds. And then comeback is Burrow. Coaches probably still KOC. Man, you know what? I'm going to say Dan. Give it to Dan. 1 seed. The odds for these things are not indicative of what's actually going to happen on this.
I got to get this off my chest. I was going to save this for halftime this weekend, but fuck it. Let's just do it now. The narrative swirl around awards absolutely makes me want to fucking scream. The idea that you're voting for Josh Allen because it's his time, but it's not Dan Campbell's time. Well, no, his time was last year. But, why didn't you give it to him last year? Well, he lost at the end of the year and Stefanski won. Okay, so we're going to give it to Stefanski, the 5 seed who goes and gets his brain beaten in the wild card round instead of Dan Campbell. And then this year, we're going to give it to a 5 seed who's going to be a dog, or maybe not a dog, but a 5 seed who could lose in round 1 again over Dan Campbell. Not acknowledging the Lions in any way via awards this year feels amazingly wrong, right?
Yeah, KOC is such a good story. But you need to give Dan Campbell his flaw. I think that number's wrong, and I might bet it. It's like 4-1.
That's a big number,
and
it
feels like a coin toss. Is there?
That's like the funny thing about this, though, because
a single
it's like
ballot where he's not second.
Like let's say the ballots were all already in right now, right?
Yeah.
And if you're like, I think it's close, Josh Allen, 51-49. Well, your degree of confidence matters in terms of convolving that to a fair price. But like if it's 51-49, then Lamar loses and Josh wins. And so it's like the price is probably reasonable. So it's very, very, very tough. And I just find it amazing that what Dan Campbell did last year and this year is you're going to have 2 coaches of the years to Stefanski and O'Connell.
So three of the markets are locks, right? I think of the other ones, I think the betting market will be wrong in 2 of the 3 other ones.
Okay.
Surtain, KOC, and Josh. I think 2 of those 3 lose.
What about comeback player of the year? You think the favorite comes from there?
I think it's Burrow. I think that's fine. That one's not. Okay. That's not a real award. That doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
It's a made-up award. I don't know how you can vote for Sam Darnold after he absolutely because the narrative is like, oh, he's fixed. He's a good quarterback now, and then you saw
that one is going to be the most just weird in terms of first place votes, and because first place votes are upweighted now. And honestly, like I would love to be in the room as somebody's trying to come up with their 4th and their 5th vote for comeback player of the year.
It's like Dobbins, and then who's your 4th?
Let's think hard about this. He
was hurt last year, like Kyler. He didn't have a great year.
I just think that if you're someone who's sitting there and you're like, Josh Allen, it's his time, but then you're like KOC over Dan Campbell, like, well,
Tim Patrick's a good one.
You're just being wildly inconsistent in terms of your point of view on this stuff. Like, how can it be Josh Allen's time and not Dan Campbell's time?
You know who missed time last year too, Drew, and is getting no steam in this market?
Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert missed a bunch of time. He's in the playoffs.
You know who had a much later in the season injury last year and didn't miss a game and was in the MVP conversation as recently as Christmas and got 0 consideration? Brock Purdy. That guy went under the knife on his throwing elbow, which is kind of scary if you consider what happened to him at the end of the season, but we'll get to that in the offseason. The way that candidacy comes about is just absolutely bizarre. It's bizarre. And if Sam Darnold wins, and that was my first bet of the year last year at 50-1 when he was on the Niners. Better to be early, except not in this case at all. So I'm gonna
All
have a
right.
good laugh though.
Oh, Chubb probably gets some votes. Bryce
Maybe.
Young. Bryce Young's coming back from sucking too. But if you vote Darnold, how do you talk yourself out of Bryce Young? All right, we've spent too much time on this.
Well, the
Calling it a
other,
night.
the other weird thing is like if Darnold is your surprise story this year, well, why'd you vote for Flacco instead of Baker Mayfield last year? Right? Like, why wasn't Baker Mayfield the coming back from sucking candidate last year?
He almost was. It was close.
Well, he was third, right? He finished third.
Yeah, but I mean, he got quite a few votes for a thing that we kind of just thought it was Hamlin.
Yeah, but I just didn't understand if you were going to vote for a candidate, and if you were like he needs to have played more, and I want to tell the story of a guy who came back from who was more impactful in the season. It was clearly Baker, and yet Flacco still sniped him. Very bizarre. That is all. This is all so dumb.
How bizarre!
I'm glad.
How bizarre.
I'm glad.
We have no assistant coach of the year takes. It's a Lions award.
It's
though.
gonna
You're
be.
right.
It's gonna be. Yeah, it's gonna go to Ben Johnson. But Vic Fangio.
You know, it'd be funny if Fangio won
Vic
it.
Fangio deserves more recognition than he's getting. Like I can't believe how good the Eagles defense is when you break down some of the stuff they've done. I know they haven't played a very tough schedule, but they got all those young guys playing this well is fucking amazing. Anyway, Watson a lock for CTE ESPN next year. Well, I think he's still going to be a Brown, but he's probably going to be on IR for the rest of the year, so they can get somebody who understands the cap has got to get in our email, get into Andy's.
They're going to work around it, I guess.
Get in
It
Andy's
sounds like
mentions
they're gonna
and kind of
restructure.
figure out. Well, there's a way they can use the fact that he's had a setback with his Achilles to keep paying him, but to get it off the salary cap, and I think that's what they will ultimately do because they're going to try to bend the rules. But yeah. Yeah. Oh, CTESPN. That's the CTESPN that's the Antonio Brown thing. He's going to join the Antonio Brown network. Yeah.
I can see that. That's not even Antonio Brown running that Twitter account. It's just some kid that he hired.
That guy he's a sharp
That's
kid.
funny. Yeah.
It's a sharp kid.
It's like Herb Street. So
he's got a few. Yeah.
I'm going to go.
All right, let's hit the music and call it a day. And actually, I got one more question for you.
Hit the wrong button.
I have one more question for you. I'm looking through our media assets here, trying to find the music and vamping. We are going to do halftime shows for the following wildcard games. Fill in the blank, Andy.
Just the night games. Let's just do the night games.
Night games.
Yeah. Saturday night, Sunday.
Prime time.
Primetime.
Beautiful. Secret pod play?
Play is the Buffalo Bills over.
Love that. Gets there by halftime. That's my prediction. Enjoy the weekend, folks.
What number of edibles to take in a plane? 10 milligrams.
I agree with that.
You don't want to have like a paranoid reaction.
Well, yeah, you don't. Yeah.
Oh, not to take. Oh, not to ingest. To bring with. I don't know.
If you're worried, you know what you do is you go to the bin candy store with the little Jelly Belly bags.
Yeah.
Take a scoop of like the Peachios, and then whatever you want, as many gummies as you want in there. It's just candy.
It's just candy, guys.
Just candy.
I've flown with it. It's fine.
Yeah, I think that we could tell some stories, but we'll save that for another day. Let's end
For
the stream.
halftime, guys.
Super wild card.
Third